All right, good morning to you. Brandon Robinson here on WYMT with a severe weather alert. We are tracking a warning that could spin up a possible isolated brief tornado. Let's go right to radar, and you'll see it's in Pulaski and Wayne counties. So again, we're kind of cruising along there. There is a tornado warning just across the border in Clinton County. So let me reset the radar here. I was on Facebook Live just a few minutes ago and happened to see this warning come in. So we're going to drift back and forth between a couple of different radars. We're on the edge of Louisville's radar and on the edge of Jackson's radar. So the resolution is not going to be great on either one of them, but we're going to try to do the best we can here to get you some readings here. So again, if you're just joining us, we're just coming on the air for this severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on it for parts of Pulaski and Wayne counties until 11 a.m. and that tornado warning just on the other side of the area there off of Wayne County and Clinton County until 9:45 Central, 10:45 Eastern. So that's a few more minutes on that. But we're going to see if they continue that tornado warning over into Jackson's coverage area. That's National Weather Service Louisville's coverage area at this point. So let's go over to velocity, take a look, see what we got going on here with these warnings. Now again, it's going to be messy because we are in the middle between two radars. We're actually on Jackson's radar right now. Let me scoot to the right or to the left a little bit here to see if we can get any better readings. Now, a little earlier, I was talking about this cell over here, and see it's muddy down that way, so it's hard to tell if a tornado has been reported. Now, this has not been any confirmed touchdowns, but this is right here. Basically, this is the area of concern this morning. Let me see if I can find my drawing tool and we'll draw it on here for you. It's right here in this area. So this is basically the areas that are maybe going to see some possible rotation. So we're going to continue to watch that as we head a little bit deeper in. But this is an area between two radar sites, so it's a very muddy picture there. So we'll go back over to reflectivity here for a second and head back down there to that area. So let's go back down here. But again, recapping, if you're just joining us, this storm is moving off to the northeast. So that's not including the city of Somerset right now in the severe thunderstorm warning, and it's not including most of Pulaski County. It's kind of like the southern edge there of Pulaski County and most of Wayne County. Now, Monticello is in this warning. Tornado possible. Of course, that is not confirmed. It just means that there's a possibility for a quick spin-up tornado there. But again, this area between a couple of different radar sites. So let's go over and check and see what the Weather Service office in Jackson is saying. Basically, the hail indicated with this system, possible hail indicated with this system, 3/4 of an inch. So there could be some pretty good size hail in there. 60-mile-an-hour winds, and of course that goes until 11 o'clock. The tornado warning in Clinton County is right across the border there. That's basically right on the doorstep of Wayne County. But this is an area where radar coverage is not great. So they're basically trying to use what data they have, Louisville and Jackson, to try to coordinate these warnings to see exactly how this is going to play out. But of course, this is an area that has been worked over pretty good with saturated air and severe weather. So let's see what's going on here. We're going to continue to track this here. Of course, we updated to a first alert weather day as of about 8:25 this morning. So we're going to keep an eye on this cell. Again, it's basically going between two radars. Let me see if I can switch this over to the regular 3 type and see if I can get a better image on this one here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Let's try this version. All right, here's the 3 type. So let's see if I can save this view and see if we can get down a little closer and see what we can figure out on this one. All right, so let's go down here and see, because again, this area right here is an area that is between Louisville's radar site, it's between Jackson's radar site, so we're not getting a very good picture of what's going on down that way. So let's switch back over to velocity again and see what we can see. So again, very muddy, so let me get just a little bit closer to see if I can figure out what they may be looking at. I think I saw something. Let me zoom back out just a hair. I think it might have updated. See, it's just bouncing back and forth between those radar sites. But what they might be looking at, and this is very, very sketchy information, there is, before I zoomed in, right in here, there was just a little bit of the reds and greens trying to go together. You can still see it a little bit there, but it's a very isolated area that doesn't have very good radar coverage from either Louisville or Jackson. It's kind of one of those areas that you basically just have to look at the factors in the atmosphere to see if you could even issue a warning for that. So that's basically where we're looking right now. And again, this is a tornado warning in Clinton County, which is not in our coverage area, but a severe thunderstorm warning into parts of Pulaski and Wayne counties with a tornado possible tag on that one. So let me go back over here to radar. All right, so there you go. Heavy rain coming with this system. Don't see a whole lot of lightning with this, but again, if you're in Monticello, not a bad idea to take cover because you might have a tornado possible with this. Again, no confirmed tornado on the ground at this point, but we're continuing to watch this very carefully. Evan Hatter on the way in. He'll be joining me here in just a few minutes. Hopefully we can kind of tag team this and I can get over on the wall just a little bit, but right now, this is what we got. So we're tracking this storm here across parts of Wayne County. It's going toward Monticello now. So if you're in the city of Monticello, if you're anywhere in that orange polygon, Powersburg, the worst of it though is heading toward Monticello. So if you're in Monticello and you're watching this right now, get it to your safe spot just in case. And even if it's just a severe thunderstorm, there's still going to be strong winds. Weather Service is saying up to 60-mile-an-hour winds possible. This is a radar indicated potential severe thunderstorm with a tornado possible. And of course, again, maybe up to 3/4 inch hail inside of this. So it's a hail maker and it's also a wind maker. So not a bad idea to get in your safe spot right now. And if you're in the southern parts of the county near the Powersburg area of Wayne County, you want to get into your tornado safe spot because that tornado warning cell is coming right towards you there across the county line there in Clinton County. So not a bad idea to get into your safe spot in the western parts of Wayne County because you're in the path of that tornado warning that is over into Clinton County. That goes until, if you're in Wayne County, if you're in Monticello right now, heavy rain is headed your way, some strong wind. Again, National Weather Service saying that is a severe thunderstorm warning for most of Wayne County. Everybody inside the polygon there, that includes parts of western and southern Pulaski County. That goes until 11 o'clock. And the reason we were on the air is there is a tornado possible tag on that. And with the system that's coming across the border, this is the reason, part of the reason we're on the air. When you've got a storm like that has created a tornado warning, we wanted to make sure that we were on just in case that tornado warning did cross over into Wayne County, which is the southern part of our coverage area. Let's go back to velocity, but as I told you earlier, this is an area where it doesn't read real well. Okay, so we've actually got a little bit of a better reading on velocity now, but it is very broad rotation showing up. So let me try to circle this for you here. This is near Monticello, and it's really broad actually, but again, anywhere where you see those reds and greens close together, that means there is the possibility for spinning winds in the atmosphere. That's the possibility for some rotation there. I don't see anything back over into Clinton County, so they may let that tornado warning expire. But we're going to keep an eye on this for a few more minutes. So right now, tornado warning until 10:45 for Clinton County. That is not in our area. That's National Weather Service Louisville's coverage area. But the severe thunderstorm warning is until 11 for Pulaski and Wayne counties, and there is a tornado possible tag with that one. So right there in the circle is the area of biggest, basically, velocity coverage. So that's where those winds are going in opposite directions. You see the green is going toward the radar, the red is going away from the radar. So that's where they're kind of meeting and mixing in the atmosphere there. It's very broad looking to me. It would have to tighten up quite a bit to drop a possible tornado, and possible is the key word there. So this is a tornado possible event, so we're waiting to see what's going to happen with that tornado warning over in Clinton County. I see the box blinking on the other screen, so they may be getting ready to let that one go. There's still kind of a notch there, a couplet of on the reflectivity. We'll take you back to that here in just a second. I think they may still be concerned about, especially for strong winds, because this is going to be coming into southern parts of Wayne County pretty soon, and you see right there along that is some stout winds, and it's basically moving in this general direction. Okay, so Powersburg area, Monticello areas out there, western and central Wayne County, get in your safe spot just in case. You just never know in this situation if this thing is going to drop a tornado, or maybe it already has. We don't know. There's no confirmed tornado on the ground with this system, but those are the areas that we're watching right now. Now, parts of Pulaski County are also included in this, but again, we do not see any indication right now that the city of Somerset is involved. Matter of fact, let me go back real quick to our Somerset camera that's downtown Somerset that the Somerset Pulaski County Economic Development Authority have given us access to. And let's see if we can see anything on this camera. It might take just a second to pop up here. But again, this is see some heavy rain there in Somerset. 70 degrees out there though right now. So again, we're kind of keeping an eye on this camera, and we will let you know if we see anything develop. But right now it is just rain out there in Somerset. So let's go back to radar, and we will take you back over here to the scene of the action, so to speak, this morning. Again, no word, and it's just a few minutes away from expiring, if they're going to let that tornado warning over in Clinton County expire. That is the National Weather Service office in Louisville. But you see the polygon is shaped like it's going to move right into Wayne County if it continues to keep its current course. So again, there's some strong winds along the outer edge of this boundary. Let's go back to velocity real quick. Again, very muddy area when it comes to velocity. We are between Louisville's radar and Jackson's radar. Two different National Weather Service offices covers this region. Of course, that's when it gets a little bit, the further south you get away from the radar, that's where you get muddy pictures like this, and it's really hard to tell if there is any rotation here. Try to bounce back and forth. Again, up here toward Monticello, and I think this is off of Louisville's radar actually. Yeah, that's off of Louisville's radar. It's trying to show some broad rotation over there. So we're going to stay with this until the top of the hour at least, unless they decide to expand these warnings out a little bit. But let's recap real fast. Matter of fact, let me take you back out to the actual warnings. Got several flash flood warnings to our north, but right now in our region, we have a severe thunderstorm warning until 11 o'clock for most of Wayne County and parts of Pulaski County. Western and southern Pulaski County, that has a tornado possible tag on it. So we're going to continue to watch that, see how that plays out for us. And of course, that tornado warning, which is expected to expire at about 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes over in Clinton County. It goes until 10:45 our time, 9:45 their time. When you cross the county line, you're basically into the central time zone over there. That's why the difference between eastern and central. So the time zone runs basically right there along the parkway, going out that way toward Bowling Green. So again, we're watching this system, see how it plays out. But we knew that when they expanded the risk a little bit further east, that we would have the possibility to see some of this severe weather. Here's our current risk. We'll go up to that real fast while we're looking. Again, if you're in the yellow, that is a higher risk factor. This came out about 8 o'clock this morning. That is a slight 2 out of 5 risk. That includes the entire I-75 corridor, Lake Cumberland, Pulaski, McCreary, Wayne counties, and then beyond, all the way out toward Columbia and all the way out toward Bowling Green as well. It does not include most of our region. It includes London, it includes Williamsburg, it includes Rockcastle County, Mount Vernon. So again, something we really want to watch here over the next little bit. So let's go back to the warnings and see if there's any new developments here. Doesn't look like we see anything else. Nothing new from the Weather Service chat. Still got the tornado possible wording on it. The severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible, 60-mile-an-hour winds possible, hail up to 3/4 of an inch, and again continuing for another about 16, a little less than 16 minutes here across our region. So again, we're on the air this morning tracking severe weather. Flash flood warnings in effect for parts of central Kentucky through a little bit later this morning, 11:15 for Anderson, Bullitt, Hardin, and Nelson counties. That's back over toward Louisville's coverage area, and then for Franklin, at Fayette. All right, so they did let the tornado warning expire there for Clinton County. So that's some good news. That storm has weakened enough that their possibility is there for that tornado warning to be let go. So Louisville decided to let that one go. Now we are going to watch this for a little while longer. Maybe we'll stay on till 11 because the simple fact that this is getting ready to hit some warm, moist air. When you have warm, moist air in an environment like this, it can help fuel severe weather. We've still got a while to go before this completely exits our region, and it's going to be moving through waves throughout the day. So even if you're not in an area that's under a SPC risk, that doesn't mean you couldn't see some stronger storms. But the one we're concerned about right now, we'll take you back down into it here, is the one over in Wayne County. Wayne and Pulaski counties goes until 11 o'clock. It is 10:45, almost 10:46 here this morning. And again, we're going to keep with this one for just a little while longer to see. It doesn't look that well defined to me on Jackson's radar. So again, the system over into Clinton County was coming across the the Wayne County line. I was looking at Powersburg there. It looks like it's falling apart. So they were able to let that tornado warning go. I'm going to try to get a little closer here with Jackson's radar to see if we can get a little bit of a picture of some velocity. It's so muddy. This is an area where you're between radars. Now, I did see something. If I can get it to move, now I'm not sure what it's doing there, But up here toward Burnside, okay, I'm going to leave it right here and try to circle this for you. So they're under the severe thunderstorm warning as well, but right here, right around the Burnside area. Now, I'm not saying this is a tornado. I'm not. I'm just telling you that there's rotation being indicated by the reds and greens right there, kind of moving against each other on Doppler. I think this is Louisville's Doppler, actually, so it's kind of on the edge of theirs as well. So just be aware that a possible tornado could be out there into parts of those areas there, most of Wayne County, especially Monticello, and then up into parts of southern and western Pulaski County. Let's go back to reflectivity. Again, I think the biggest concern right now is over toward the Mill Springs area of Wayne County, down toward Monticello, down toward Powersburg. Now, again, even though you may not be seeing a tornado, I guarantee you're seeing strong winds. I guarantee you're seeing some pretty good hail. If you live in Wayne County, please send those reports in. We would love to hear from you. I know that you can see us on cable and I believe satellite down that way as well. So, again, let us know if you're seeing any damage, any reports of damage, any hail. We'd like to hear those reports. I don't have anything new from the Weather Service, Chad, at this point. They have issued a special weather statement, which is basically kind of a lead-in to a warning, but it's not a warning for the northern half of the area, saying a strong thunderstorm will impact portions of Bath, Fleming, and Rowan counties through about 11:15. But this is the cell that we are the most concerned about for the moment. We'll stay with it a few more minutes unless they let this warning go a little early. It does not look as organized as it did earlier, so that's a good sign. But don't let your guard down just yet. We still have about 12 minutes, a little less than 12 minutes to go on this warning, but we're going to stay with it till 11 o'clock just because, unless they let it expire early, because this system has the possibility and the potential to fire back up rapidly, especially once you hit, again, areas that the air is very moist. So let's go back and look at our dew points right fast and our temperatures as well. And I'll take you back to that Somerset camera. So right now, our temperatures out that way still in the 70s. Williamsburg, Manchester, Somerset, Irvine. If we get to 70 today at the London Corbin Airport, which doesn't look likely at this point, or the National Weather Service office at Jackson, which is closer, we will tie a record set back in 2000, 23-year-old record there. So we are in record-breaking potential territory there this afternoon. And then again, dew points. When there's a lot of moisture in the air like there is back out toward London and Somerset, you get above that 60-degree dew point. That helps kind of fuel some of that instability out there. So we're watching those western counties. But again, you've got a lot of locations across our entire region that are close to 60 out there. Let's go back to Somerset. Check that camera out one more time there. Looks like the city took down their Christmas tree right there in the circle, but looks like some heavy rain falling there in Somerset, and they are still at 70 out there at the airport. Okay, let's go back to radar. And we'll continue on with this, kind of see if we can get a better look at, again, as this moves a little closer to Jackson's radar, we might be able to get a better look at it. I don't know if we will be able to or not, but let's go in a little closer and see what we can find out. Again, it doesn't really look that substantial there. Let me go back on this radar where it's got the 3 on it. So again, a lot of heavy rain. Somerset getting ready to get a pretty good little soaker up there along US 27. It's moving out of Wayne County, Powersburg, and the southern part of Wayne County, Zula. Those areas getting ready to get a pretty good little soaking there if you're not already. Mill Springs, most of the areas to the south of that, Coopersville, Gregory. Again, no major action in your area yet, but of course the winds will be stout. I can tell you right now, just based on the curvature of this storm, anywhere along this line right here, just to the east of Zula and Powersburg, there's going to be some stout winds. So that's coming for parts of southern Monticello over toward Wayne County. All right, so they have decided to continue the severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible only for Wayne County until 11. They canceled Pulaski out, so that's some good news. That means this storm is weakening to some degree. So we're going to stay with it a few more minutes. Maybe they'll cancel the warning here in Wayne County as well. But anytime a tornado warned cell is that close to your region, you want to stay with it because this could rapidly intensify again. And of course, dew points are in the 60s in Somerset. The air temperature is at 70 in Somerset. So we're just going to stick with this for a little bit longer. Let's go back to velocity now. We're on the, again, this is an area that's very muddy. There's one area I want to point out. It's broad rotation, so I don't think it's really seeing anything right here, just to the north of Monticello, closer to Mill Springs. Very broad. not very tight. So again, we're going to continue to watch that area there, area of concern. And that's basically it, because the warning for the parts of Pulaski County that would have included Burnside was allowed to expire just a little bit early. So we're going to continue to watch this. Of course, the main threats with this cell is 60-mile-an-hour winds, possibility of 3/4-inch hail, and of course all of this is radar indicated, and that goes until 11 o'clock here, about 8 more minutes. So let's stay with it a little longer and see what we come up with here, because I'm just curious to make sure that we get kind of get this covered and make sure that everybody is safe. All right, so I got the wrong one there. Let me take you back into this cell here in Wayne County, right at the edge of our coverage area. If you missed the earlier parts of the coverage, we had a tornado warning, and we're actually on Facebook Live when this warning come out over in Clinton County, which is basically the county that borders Wayne County. So I came in here, got on the air because I was afraid the atmosphere would stay unstable enough to have the warning in Clinton County, which is National Weather Service Office Louisville's area, carry over into Jackson's coverage area, which is Wayne County. So again, thankfully, that didn't turn out to be the case. This storm seems to be dying just a little bit, but this is not the time to let your guard down just yet. You want to continue to watch this thing, regardless if you're seeing any rotation in your area, which looks very sparse at this point. And if we may let our coverage go here in just a few minutes if the storm continues to kind of de-escalate just a little bit. But again, heavy rain basically from Pulaski County going back over toward Rockcastle County. Let me zoom out here just a little bit, kind of give you a broad picture up toward I-75 there, going toward Jackson County. But the only area under a warning right now is Wayne County. That continues until 11 o'clock, which is some 6 odd minutes away here, 10:53 right now. So we'll see if they let that continue all the way to 11 o'clock. If they do not, again, we'll keep an eye on this. If it starts to cycle back up again, we'll come right back on the air. But at this point, it looks like it's continuing to kind of die down a little bit. Now, we have more to go with this system. It is moving kind of the northeast, so other cities that are very mild and muggy out there could be in the path of this thing a little bit later. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it, and we'll just keep you posted as we learn more about this system. But again, went into a first alert weather day as the new SPC outlook came out about 8:10 this morning, or actually right before 8 o'clock. So we were in a first alert weather day there at 8:25 cut in. So we were just kind of getting ready for all this. The Storm Prediction Center outlook, let me take you back to that real fast to kind of give you an idea of some of the counties that are still under the gun potentially from this system there. For the rest of the afternoon, you see parts of the I-75 corridor, not all the way up to Lexington, but parts of the I-75 corridor all the way into Tennessee. So that's basically Campbell County, Whitley County, Laurel County, Rockcastle County, Pulaski County, Wayne County, McCree County, parts of Bell County, Claiborne County, Knox County, let's see here, Jackson County, and that's the ones in the yellow. All right, so those are the ones that are under the highest risk. And of course, there's risk out there for the counties closer to Hazard and up to Jackson with the green coloring there all the way through this afternoon. So one more time, let's go back down here and check out the radar for this cell here. I expect that warning to be allowed to go on time, so we may go ahead and wrap up our coverage for now. But let's take one more look at velocity before we do, just to make sure, because this is in a bad area between the radars there. So let's see if we can get another look at that real quick. It's a very muddy situation down there. And yeah, so a couple little spots we're continuing to watch for a little bit. I'm sure this is what the Weather Service office in Jackson is. A little bit there, a possible broad rotation, a little bit there between Monticello and Mill Springs, but I think it's broad enough at this point that they're just kind of keeping an eye on it until 11 o'clock. So we'll stick with it for a couple more minutes since we're almost done with the warning anyway. We'll let it expire, and then we'll toss you back to regular programming. I know the Price is Right, I believe, is coming up at 11 o'clock this morning. So there it is. Heavy rain. Let's take you out and reset real quick with a regional view. That way you can kind of see what's going on across the entire region. We do have heavy rain along the line there coming. And look back here. This might not be done yet, because look over here, back out toward Columbia. There is a new line trying to form out there into south central Kentucky. So we're going to keep an eye on this throughout the day. Like I said, Evan Hatter will be here pretty soon, and we'll pick up the coverage again if we need to a little bit later on. But right now, again, I think we're going to be okay. This system is trying to die down a little bit, but we have that severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on it until 11 a.m. for Wayne County in southern Kentucky out there. Again, I think the the rotation on that slowly starting to wind down just a little bit. But again, anytime you had, if you missed the coverage earlier, we had a tornado warning over in Clinton County, which is the county right next to Wayne in Louisville's coverage area, right there on the border with Tennessee. So we decided to come on just in case that storm stayed strong enough to cross over into our area. But thankfully it did not. They let that warning expire. And now we're just waiting the next couple of minutes to see if this one's going to expire in Wayne County before we let you go back to regular coverage. I believe it will. I believe it's going to, again, fall below the threshold of a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag, probably even the severe thunderstorm warning tag. But again, we'll stay with it for just a little while. I have not seen any reports of damage. The Weather Service has not put anything out, so we're just going to kind of keep an eye on it. But going back to our tour here, basically rounds of showers and storms all the way up, basically along a line from Moorhead, northeastern Kentucky, all the way down into southern Kentucky. And all this is moving this general direction. Actually, I tell you what, I'm going to take that one off because that's not the right general direction. Let me clear that one off. And then this is basically, it's kind of moving in this general direction, actually. So again, it's coming in from, well, let me get my drawing tool here. Lost it there for a second. It's kind of moving in this general direction, but it's also coming to the east. So all those areas that have not seen rain just yet, you probably will. I did get a report from one of our folks on Twitter, a viewer on Twitter in Somerset, that he was seeing a brief period of sunshine. And of course, we're continuing to watch the possibility for more storm development to the west. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, new severe thunderstorm warning. Tornado possible tags. I guess we're not going anywhere just yet. Let's go back down here. Matter of fact, let's put the box back on. New severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible until 11:30 for McCreary, Pulaski, and Wayne counties. So again, the Weather Service office at Jackson picking this up. We may let this go at 11 o'clock and come back to it if we think that it's necessary. We may actually stay with it since this actually maybe affects Somerset at this point. It does. So we'll stay with it. Let's go to our Somerset camera, see if we can see anything down that way, courtesy to our friends over at Speda. I know it's warm down there. It may have cooled off here in the last little bit, but let's see what we got over that way. Again, heavy rain falling. This is downtown Somerset. 70 degrees up at the airport, which I think is north of town. Don't see any real wind, but this severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-an-hour winds possible, quarter or three-quarter inch hail possible. And again, it goes until 11:30. So that is a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag for parts of McCreary, Pulaski, and Wayne. That includes the city of Somerset. All right, let's go back up here to the boxes. Of course, there are flash flood warnings to our north. So I tell you what, we're going to stay with this for a few more minutes because the city of Somerset is now involved in this. So we're going to okay. All right. Sorry, we must have dropped out there for just a second. But again, continuing to follow this severe thunderstorm warning. Let's see what we got here. If you missed it earlier, it is basically, again, the possibility for some stronger storms, some stronger winds, 60-mile-an-hour winds possible with this. Checking Twitter right now. Just to see kind of if there's any reports coming in here. I don't see anything too much there. Looks like Ciaran Jones, the person I was referencing earlier, sent us a video from the Somerset area. I just retweeted that on Twitter. That was about 27 minutes ago, so this is probably a little bit late. Evan Hatter walking in right now. He'll join our coverage here in just a minute. But again, we're staying on the air because this system came from a tornado warning cell that was out of our area. So the possibility is there, and there's even a tag on it, tornado possible. There's still some rotation in this system. There's still some heavy rain in this system. It's going through a couple of different heavily populated areas, Monticello, Somerset. Even if it wasn't, if it was rural farm country, we'd still be on the air because this is an area we've been watching basically all day for the potential for, again, some development there with storms. Let's go back over to velocity, see if we can see. Again, this is a very muddy picture down that way, and it's hard to see anything. Let me see if I can get it to switch over just a little bit. I'm kind of more focused on around the Somerset, Monticello areas. It's so broad right now. It's hard to see anything, and this is a very muddy area with radar in general because of the simple fact that it's just between Weather Service office, Jackson's radar and Louisville's radar, so we're not going to be able to see a whole lot in that area. So let's go back out to the radar. All right. Actually, let's go to this one. So let's zoom back in. Of course, let's put some rainfall rates on here for a second. Let's see what we've got on that. See if we can pull those up right quick. I'm curious to see how much rain this is dropping here in these areas. So again, you see those brighter greens and blues. That's some heavy pockets of rain. There are flash flood warnings to the north, so we're going to keep an eye on those. Recapping those real fast for you off screen. Fayette, Franklin, Scott, Shelby till 11:30, and then back toward Louisville, Anderson, Bullitt, Hardin, and Nelson until 11:15. But this warning we're focused in on right now is for parts of Pulaski, McCreary, and Wayne counties, including the city of Somerset and the city of Monticello until 11:30. It's got a tornado possible tag on it. Let's kind of look and see what some of these rainfall rates are showing here right fast. So basically the one just west of the S in or just north of the S in Somerset there, about 3/4 of an inch an hour. Let's go down here to Monticello. About 3/4 of an inch an hour. So some of these showers are dropping some pretty heavy rainfall, which again, thankfully we've not had a whole lot of rain here lately, but if we do see some more of that, it could lead to some flash flooding. And Evan, I was telling them a little earlier, I know you're still getting geared up, but this is an area that is very hard to see with velocity because it's between Louisville's radar and between Jackson's radar. So there again, it's very muddy out there. So this is an area that's kind of a limited coverage on there. Let me go back to this one for just a second. We'll try this view. It's basically, it's going to bounce back and forth between Jackson and Louisville's radar sites here. Let's see what we've got. Let's try velocity here on this single site. It's still kind of muddy. I mean, it's not great down that way. So again, we'll just kind of go back to radar, kind of track it there just a little bit. So we'll zoom back in on this area. So just watching this, we're going to stay with it for a little while longer because Somerset's included in this warning. As I was mentioning earlier, this basically came off a tornado warning in Clinton County. We have no confirmed reports of any touchdowns. Let me be clear on that. We have no confirmed reports of any touchdowns. So again, we're going to continue to watch this. I do believe, let me go back over to this. If I have it in this show, I see something that might have just came down from the Weather Prediction Center. I hope I have this in this show. If not, I'm going to have to go
I'm
home.
not sure we have the precipitation discussions.
No, it's the actual map. They just put down the new day one outlook. So give me just, yeah, you mic'd up, ready to go?
I should be.
Yeah, go ahead, turn his mic on. Well, apparently, because I saw the picture come in here on Twitter, but it's not looking like it's updated yet on the, so that's excessive rainfall, but it's going to take, once it does update, it will take the slight into the southern parts of our region. Right now it's still below, but this new update that just came out, and I'm not sure why it didn't update in our system just yet, but basically it's going to pull that slight, that yellow, down to the south up into parts of southern Kentucky. We'll come back to that here in a little bit to see if we can get that update to go here in a little bit. Let's take you back to Somerset downtown one more time, see what they got going on down that way. Again, this cell is dropping heavy rain over that way. Our friends at SPEDA gave us access to this camera. You can tell the temperature's down a couple degrees out there, down to 68 at this point, and just heavy rain what we're seeing out that way for now. Back to radar, and again, let's recap. Top of the hour, actually a little past the top of the hour. Brandon Robinson and Evan Hatter here, and we are tracking a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag that goes until 11:30 for McCreary County, Pulaski County, and Wayne County, and this includes Monticello and the city of Somerset. McCreary County, it's kind of the northern half of McCreary County, so that would probably include, let's go and see what kind of major population centers are over that way. I know Stearns is kind of over that way. It's above Pine Knot. Right, Whitley City's right outside of the Polygon, and then I believe Wilborg's over that way. Stearns is also a little bit south of Whitley City. So again, no major population centers included, but that doesn't mean we're not concerned about you guys. All right, so Jackson just expired the severe thunderstorm warning for Wayne. I bet that was the one that was supposed to expire at 11. That's my assumption.
Yeah, that looks like it with that superseding warning there for McCreary, Pulaski, and Wayne for another 25 minutes or so here this morning.
All right. So, Evan, thoughts? Jump in here.
Well, I'm still keeping an eye on, like you said earlier, this is an area where the radar coverage is not the best. We're shooting this from, thousands of feet. And let me see from Jackson, we're looking at this about 8,000 feet up. And the picture doesn't get any better when we look at Morristown, which is out east of Knoxville. We're looking at that from about 8,000 feet, and same thing from the Nashville radar. So it's kind of in our no man's land of radar coverage there. Yep. But we've had just enough spin in the atmosphere that we've been seeing the potential for quick spin-up tornadoes with these thunderstorms. And if you were with us yesterday, you know what we were talking about when we say the threat is low. It doesn't mean you're going to see a tornado, but that threat, especially in these wintertime systems, when we have a lot of wind energy in the atmosphere, the threat is never zero when we're dealing with these scenarios out here with these powerful lines of thunderstorms along these very dynamic cold fronts.
Exactly. We've been very lucky here the last little bit to only have those a couple of warnings that we've been talking about there. I was actually doing a Facebook Live when I saw the tornado warning go out, and I had been warning folks. I was like, hey, may have to jump off here real quick. I'll come back and get you when we're done with this. But I saw the tornado possible tag come out on the severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Wayne and Pulaski counties. I think maybe I should go get on air for this one because again, these cells like this, especially in muddy radar coverage, you can see brief, quick spin-ups, and they basically are gone between scans. So this is something we have not had any confirmed reports of, but we're continuing to watch this and kind of see what the situation is. Now, those dark red boxes that you're seeing off to the north, those are flash flood warnings. So not only is this a system that's going to have wind and spin, it's going to have heavy rain potential. Let me see if that new map is updated there for a second. I'm curious.
And while you're doing that, we'll talk about, you see a lot of that rainfall is trained over central Kentucky earlier today, really from places up toward Carlisle, back toward, let's see, that's Taylorsville, toward Louisville, and further on to the south and west. In fact, if you know the shapes of the Weather Service office regions there, the entire length of the Weather Service office in Louisville's coverage area is under a flash flood warning right now.
Yeah.
And we're dealing with some very heavy rain with these storms, and you've got the big picture up right now. I don't want to, discount. We're talking about this severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible in McCreary, Pulaski, and Wayne counties. I don't want to discount. We're likely seeing some very heavy rain up into portions of Rowan County right now, just moved over downtown Moorhead, into portions of Menifee County, and right down the Mountain Parkway near Stanton right now, into portions of Powell County. That's not a severe thunderstorm warning. In fact, we're not seeing too much in the way of any kind of wind with that, looking at the velocity here. But yes, we're still dealing with even moderate rain from Stanton down toward places like Irvin, toward McKee right now, seeing some light rain, and toward Mount Vernon, seeing some moderate rain right now. But the main focus continues to be that very southern cell in the northeastern portions of Wayne County. There's no formal tornado warning out for this storm, but there is just enough spin that the Weather Service in Jackson is seeing the potential for some rotation in that thunderstorm, and that's why the severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag continues for much of Pulaski, much of Wayne, and the northern half of McCreary County until 11:30, and this warning should go for about another 20 minutes.
Exactly. So we're looking at the city of Somerset in the polygon, the city of Monticello in the polygon. Now again, most of those areas that we've been continuing to talk about, most of the rain is basically cleared Monticello. Let's go back and see. Actually, that is the so basically Monticello, I don't want to say you're clear yet, but you're clear from the heaviest bands of rain. You're still in the warning polygon, but Somerset, this is now bearing down on you. At Mount Vernon, there is no active warning for you, but you're kind of right in the line of this system. If it moves over that way, Mount Victory over in Pulaski County. But Evan, I want to zoom back out for a second because we're not done. Look back over here.
Yeah, we're already seeing heavy rain. That's southern parts of Metcalfe County into parts of Monroe County, seeing heavy rain, and then you have that steady, we call it stratiform rain behind that, down 80, down 68, 80 as you head back toward Glasgow and Bowling Green and over toward the Russellville area. I was actually watching coverage from our sister station, WBKO, as some of these storms were moving past the Bowling Green area about 8 hours ago. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's been an active day so far here in the Commonwealth, and we're not done with the potential for heavy rain yet, and I think that's going to be eventually the calling card with this particular system. Yes, we have that threat of some rotation. Yes, we have the threat for 60-mile-per-hour winds and hail to the size of or 0.75 inches. I don't remember that off the top of my head. It's not a huge threat for hail today, but we're still watching that thunderstorm, and you can get, especially on the southern end of these kinds of lines, they can get influenced by the southerly air moving up from the south, and we're dealing with the very gusty day out there. I just walked in the building, and you see, you just feel it. It's one of those days out there, and that's where we can get the potential for a little bit of rotation in those thunderstorms that can drop a quick tornado. And they likely wouldn't last long, but it doesn't take long to do some damage.
Exactly. So again, we've had several questions I've seen on Twitter, and I think folks have messaged me. They're asking about the rain of this event. Is it going to be like July? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. July was a hopefully once-in-a-lifetime event. We hope and pray that it was a once-in-a-lifetime event. But you could see some flooding with this, some localized high water issues. So again, if you live in a low-lying area, if you live near a creek that floods a lot, yeah, you need to take those precautions because you're probably going to see some high water in some locations because these cells, they are moving. They're not moving very fast, but they are moving. But they're going to continue to redevelop, especially out to the west. And there's a lot of flash flood warnings already, again, back into central Kentucky, back into western Kentucky. So this is going to turn into a rainmaker pretty quickly as we get deeper into today.
Right, and the atmosphere, you can feel it out there. It's very juicy. It doesn't feel like early January out there. I mean, we've got temperatures in the low 70s region-wide right now, at least according to the Kentucky Mesonet. You factor then in the dew points out there. We got temperatures in the 70s with dew points in the upper 50s. That is a lot of moisture for this time of year. Look at that. Dew point in Somerset of 64. And now part of that is obviously it's raining in Somerset right now, but those are pretty high numbers for this time of year, indicating just how much moisture we have in the atmosphere. And the warmer we get today, we're already in the low 70s in many locations, the more the atmosphere has the capacity to hold moisture, and that's where we watch the potential for that flooding there. You see it's 71 in Manchester, 72 in Williamsburg. It's not even noon yet, and it's just the third day of the year. So these are some very warm temperatures, and most of us are really within shouting distance of 70 right now throughout the region. And that's something we're going to have to watch as we head through today. It's part of the reason why our first alert weather day is in effect through the rest of today.
I was kind of curious to see what's going on along the southern cameras there this morning. The London Corbin not showing a whole lot there. Of course, we're still following that severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag that continues for parts of Pulaski, McCreary, and Wayne counties until 11:30. But I kind of wanted to see, we have a few cameras out there, just wanted to see what the look of it is there. Some heavy rain starting to move into Mount Vernon along I-75. If you're traveling up that way or know somebody's traveling that way, maybe give them a call and say, hey, slow down a little bit, especially if you get into some heavy rain. Downtown Somerset, looking again a little bit on the warmer side. Temperatures were at 70 over there before the rain hit, down to 68 now, but don't see any major impacts over there so far. So we're going to keep an eye out for that and just kind of keep you posted. And of course, Evan, I'm going to put the satellite radar on here, and this system has worked its way across the state, and not only across the state, across our region all night long.
That's right. You see the heavier, more intense rounds of thunderstorms there along Interstate 65 and just west from Nashville back over toward the northwestern or the northeastern tip of Mississippi. That's, I want to point out, where the severe weather risk is greatest today. Already dealing with tornado watches, tornado warnings across portions of the deep south in places like Mississippi and Alabama. And then they're under the level 3 enhanced risk for severe weather today along the Gulf Coast. That's where the weather threat is going to be the highest. That's not to say that we don't have the threat with that level 2 slight risk of severe weather essentially along and west of Interstate 75 through the day today. It's why our first alert weather day is in effect, and we're going to have to keep an eye especially on those more isolated cells, kind of the southern end, which is what we're dealing with right now, into portions of it's basically where Wayne, Pulaski, and McCreary counties all come together at this hour. And that thunderstorm has exhibited a little bit of rotation, and the Weather Service in Jackson has continued that warning, it looks like, with the potential for a tornado possible. That's the threat given by the Weather Service. They have these, they're called impact tags there on the kind of, you scroll down in the warning, it's down there at the bottom. And yes, they say tornado possible because this storm has had a history of being tornado warned back across portions of Clinton County, just to the west of Wayne County a little bit earlier on, and that's why we continue to keep an eye on this thunderstorm as it heads eventually into the southern part of Pulaski County, the northern part of McCreary County, and down the line into portions of Whitley and Laurel counties.
I'm going to try velocity one more time, just to see if we can kind of get close enough to a radar where we can kind of see something. It's so muddy down there. I mean, it's just, even when we try to zoom in, I mean, it's just, that area is basically a radar dead zone when it comes to high resolution data. And again, I know it might look like, if just based on the legend at the top that, oh, you're seeing something. Not really. I mean, usually, let me see if I can find a spot that's a little bit close. Yeah, so see the red up here and the green here kind of over toward, let me see if I can draw a couple of these. These are what you would typically look for, like this kind of red, like up near West Liberty. I'm not saying this is rotation. I'm just saying this is what we typically look for to see if there is rotation. And the green, that's indicating the back and forth between the radar and away from the radar. But down here in the area that is warned, I mean, it's so muddy.
We're looking to kind of get into the nitty-gritty for a second. The radar beam that you see, that sweep that's going by, that's not a straight line. It is pointed up.
Yeah.
All right. It is tilted at various levels. And what we're looking at here is the radar is scanning this storm about 7,500 feet up. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to get that lowest level rotation, you're not going to be scanning the lowest level of the storm as that continues to push to the east. So we're looking about 7,000 to 8,000 feet up, and that is the same if you're looking from Jackson, if you're looking from Morristown, and if you're looking from Nashville, which is also having to look through the Nashville radar, is looking at this about 13,000 feet, and also looking at it through the perspective of several thunderstorms that just moved through Nashville. So that's why probably the Nashville radar not the best to look at with this particular storm, but that is probably the region in our area that has the worst radar coverage.
Yep.
And that is where we have this severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible at this hour, and that is set to go for about another 10 to 12 minutes out there, set to expire at 11:30.
So again, just to recap again, our coverage here, we're going to continue it for a little while longer unless they let this warning go. But it's hard to tell if there's any rotation out that way. Is a tornado possible tag? 60-mile-an-hour winds potentially there. 3/4 of an inch size hail, radar indicated at least. That's possible with this storm. And I'm sure there's some stout winds because you've got some notches there on the leading edge of that just south of Somerset along US 27. Some heavy, heavy rain coming down there. So again, watch out for ponding water. Watch out for, especially if your tires are not the best, going through those puddles. We encourage you never to drive through flooded roadways, but if you run through a puddle or something, we understand that sometimes. But again, if you see water over a road, just don't chance it because you don't know how long it's been there, how deep it is. There's a lot of factors. But right now, to me, and Evan, you can see if you can concur on this a little bit, to me, it looks like it's turning in more to a rain-based event instead of a storm-based event.
At least at this point, with this particular line of storms, it very slowly worked its way through central Kentucky earlier. That's why we have all the flash flood warnings up toward Lexington and points to the west. And the one thing we're going to continue to watch is especially this particular storm. It's on the southern end of this line. There's not a whole lot of interference to the south, so it's getting a lot of warm and moist air being able to work into the system. And there's a little boundary down there that is allowing this thunderstorm kind of hitch a ride, if you will, and start to spin a little bit. And that's why this storm continues moving northeast, by the way, at 60 miles per hour. So yes, this is one of those storms. We call these events high shear, low cape. And what that essentially means is that we have a lot of wind energy, we have a lot of steering, we don't have a lot of fuel. Right. So the storm has bypassed the gas station for the most part. It's kind of drifting at this point.
Running on fumes.
It's running on fumes, but those fumes can carry it a while when you got winds aloft of 60 miles per hour. And I'm actually going to track this out. Sorry to wrest control of the radar from you at this hour, but if this continues, I'm going to try to keep it within the warning. If this continues at 60 miles per hour, we're talking Vox within the next 20 minutes, London by the next 30 minutes, Corbin area within the next 25 to 30 minutes. And if it holds together, we're talking, places like Big Creek, Burning Springs, like Manchester eventually, as that heads into portions of Laurel County, in Whitley County, northern parts of Knox County, and eventually into Clay County. And if it holds together, like we said, you see them highlighted on the map there, into portions of Owsley and into parts of Leslie County as well.
Exactly. So again, we're watching those cells out near Burkesville. Over that way, I believe that is Russell and Adair counties over that way. So we're going to keep an eye on those as well coming into Clinton County near Albany. But again, I think this region has been worked over by this first line of storms enough for that will probably just be heavy rain. So we're just going to have to continue to watch that for a little bit longer.
I think heavy rain is going to, especially in this section of the viewing area, where we've had this heavy rain so far. Now this storm is moving fast,
right?
So it's not going to hang out long. But you see that cone there, if you're just popping the TV on here this morning, that cone is 60 miles per hour. That's how fast this storm is moving out there right now. And eventually it's going to cross the Hal Rogers Parkway there, not far from London, if it holds together. But this storm kind of in its own environment is in the best location to see any kind of rotation develop. And I think they just updated that warning.
Yeah, still going till 11:30, but they canceled Wayne out of it.
And much of McCreary as well. It's just the very tip, the northern tip of McCreary County. So if you're watching us from places like Stearns, definitely from Pine Knot, even in Whitley City, you are no longer, you are not included in this warning now. None of those locations there. Whitley City, Stearns, definitely Pine Knot, not located in this warning anymore. But the threat for 60-mile-per-hour winds and even a quick spin-up tornado is not out of the question for the next 8 minutes or so. And we'll see what the Weather Service decides to do with this as this moves into Laurel and Whitley counties over the next little bit. We're talking places shortly within the next 30 minutes, like downtown London. I think, looking at the steering on this storm, I think it's going to go north of Corbin.
Yeah.
But at this point, places like London, like Manchester, even Manchester's probably on the edge of this if I'm just looking at it and trying to push that through southern parts of Rockcastle County as well, south of Mount Vernon. So if you know anyone traveling along Interstate 75 there, really between Mount Vernon and Corbin at this point, give them a heads up that they've got a pretty strong thunderstorm, a severe thunderstorm on the way with some heavy rain and some very gusty winds as well, on the order of 60 miles per hour, and just that hint of rotation that could lead to a quick spin-up tornado. And once again, we have heard no reports of anything on the ground. We have heard no reports of damage, and that is good news. But Brandon, it's the third day of the year. It's January 3rd. It's not a time you would normally associate with severe weather. I know we were in this situation about 367 days ago, but with severe weather on New Year's Day last year. But it's just something that we want to make you aware of. It's not a normal situation seeing this much in the way of severe weather at this time of year, and it looks like they've updated the...
I was waiting for you to pause for a second. I'm going to check this because I'm curious to see what's happened to this. So that's good. That's great news. So they have completely, almost completely scaled the slight risk back to the Kentucky-Tennessee border. It still includes parts of southern Knox County, southern Whitley County, western Bell County, parts of Claiborne County, all of Campbell County, about half of McCreary and Wayne County. So they're still expecting to see some development, and they've actually kind of scaled the marginal back a little bit as well. So we're going to keep an eye on this, see how it plays out, but hopefully this is the latest update from the SPC. So that's good news. But go ahead.
Sorry,
I'm going to check that WPC update again just to see if it updated, because that one's the one I think is going to become the bigger concern here in a little bit. Let me see if I can
While you're doing that, the point here being that the rain that we're seeing, especially in our western tier of counties right now, the western kind of couple of rows of counties, that is helping work over the atmosphere. It's using up what little instability that we have, and not sure why that hasn't updated
I'm not sure
yet. I think it's possibly where we have the where it hasn't updated the Storm Prediction Center is a little bit faster, because that's kind of a native thing inside our weather computers, whereas we're having to pull in the map data for the excessive rainfall outlooks. But I believe, like you were saying earlier, the entire area is in that slight risk, just about at least the southern half of the area.
Southern half of the area
is in that slight risk, the level 2 for excessive rainfall, and just our very far southern tier is in the slight risk for severe weather during the day today.
Exactly. Let's take you forward just a few minutes while we've got just some time here. I know this is kind of set for 10, but we're going to skip forward to basically here in the next few minutes. Now, this was doing very well this morning, and now it's starting to kind of lag behind a little bit, but you still see there the potential for these heavy rain to move through the area throughout the day into the early evening hours. Then we'll get a break. And then, of course, we have the potential for some more to show up overnight toward early tomorrow morning. We're just kind of scaling through it here. Again, so this rain event is not done. So, again, we're going to continue to watch this probably all the way through parts of tomorrow morning before it starts to move out. And I think we see some sunshine by late tomorrow afternoon. So,
yeah, once we get past that last batch, that's the front.
Yeah.
Moving through here in about 36 hours or so. A little less than that, but until we get to tomorrow afternoon, we're still under the threat for some heavy rainfall and some gusty winds with any one of these storms. And the reason we're still on the air, we don't mean to cover up the prices right at this hour, but it's just a unique situation. We've got severe weather at the beginning of the year. It's a time we don't think about severe weather. We have a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag into the eastern portions now of Pulaski County, the northern parts of McCreary County, and that's about to bear down on Mount Victory within the next few minutes there in the eastern parts of Pulaski County. And this is moving to the east at, I believe, still highway speed 60 miles per hour. As that heads toward the western part of Laurel County. You're not under a warning there in the western part of Laurel County, but be on standby that you have a strong thunderstorm, a severe thunderstorm heading your way within the next few minutes.
So I'm going to make, and I know this is a bad thing to say, especially in the weather, but I'm going to make an assumption that basically any rotation is kind of right here in part of this inflow notch, since we can't see it on velocity. That's where I think the best chance of any rotation would be. It's definitely strong winds. But again, I would say if there's any rotation left in this system, it's basically in that inflow notch.
Right, and like we said, it's hard to see anything. We're getting a little closer to the Morristown radar.
Right.
But even so, it's looking very broad. So I would say the Weather Service is coming up to decision time. I'm sure they're probably, our friends at the Weather Service probably writing up that a new warning if they're going that direction now. And whether or not they keep that tornado possible tag is something we'll continue to watch. Brandon, go ahead and load up that. Go ahead and load up the London Corbin Airport camera.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure which direction that camera faces. I think it's the west. So we may be able to, it's still a little far away, to try to see this storm. Actually, the west, we may be actually facing north because I see those, or actually, no, we're facing west because those clouds are moving from left to right in the picture.
I see that.
And then we got strong southerly winds out there. So we are looking to the west. We're not seeing anything just yet with this particular thunderstorm, but we're continuing to watch that push to the east. And I'm looking at radar scope, and the warning has popped off of radar scope.
Well, that's good news.
I haven't seen anything that would lead me to believe that the warning is being let go yet, but obviously that is a decision that's up to the Weather Service. It's still on our weather systems here at WYMT, where we've got the severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible, eastern parts of Pulaski County and very, very far northern sliver of McCreary County at this hour, and just keeping an eye on this storm.
I can tell you this. Somerset, you're basically clear. Monticello, you're definitely clear. Mount Victory, of course, some heavy rain is getting ready to head your way. We've got about less than a minute on this warning now. So I'd say that radar scope was a little bit ahead of the game there, and the Weather Service just hasn't. They probably have canceled it, just not come out of our computer system yet. But again, heavy rain still possible throughout the day, so we are not done with this system yet by any means. But we do believe the severe aspect of this has dropped out enough where the Weather Service will likely let this expire at 11:30 because we have not seen any new updates from them. We stayed on because of the simple fact this was a highly populated area, and like you said, it's not a time of the year you would expect severe weather. So we were trying to keep everybody as safe as possible, and typically it's a judgment call if you come on air with severe thunderstorm warnings with tornado possible tags on them. But in an area like this and in a time like this, I think it's better safe than sorry to do the coverage.
And there's the warning popping off the screen. So that at this point, the severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire for parts of Pulaski, McCreary, and was already canceled for Wayne County. At this point, the storm no longer severe at this point, but it's still exhibiting just a little bit of that upper level rotation that we're keeping an eye on at this point. But it may have outrun that area of rotate, or the little boundary that it's been up on.
Okay, so at that point, we're going to send it back to The Price is Right, regular programming. We'll be back on instantly if we need to. If any new warnings are issued, stay up to date and stay with us. Of course, you can check out our First Alert weather app as well.